Hello everybody and welcome to Dancing Arms Gaming, and there's a couple of things that I want to go over today with you, one of which is AMD's Keynote. But before we get there, I want to have a little look with you guys at AMD Ryzen's 3000 series mobile APUs. So AMD have announced that the second generation of mobile APUs are going to be carrying the branding of the 3000 series. However, I just want to add in here that in fact they are based on the 12nm Zen Plus architecture instead of the 7nm Zen 2 architecture. Baffling, I know, but why do they do this? Well, this is how AMD do their marketing, how they set up their product lines, and the way that AMD work. And if we take a look at the 2000 series, this was announced ahead of the second generation Ryzen desktop CPUs and was based on the previous generation of the 14nm Zen architecture. So, if we have a look at it, with Ryzen 3000 series APUs, they are being announced before the release of the 3000 series desktop CPUs and will then use last generation of 12nm Zen Plus architecture. So to cut this short, basically the APUs are effectively a generation behind the desktop CPUs, just with the latest branding, and generally are released about a year and a half after their predecessor. So let's take a look at the new APUs being released and the specs of them being based on the 12nm Zen Plus architecture. So if we compare the 3000 series to the 2000 series, there isn't a massive jump here. However, AMD are still moving forward and the 3000 series is slightly faster. So the previous 2200U, 2300U, 2500U and 2700U are all seen here with the 3000 series. They all have an extra 100 MHz added to the base and boost clock via the 3700U, which has an additional 200 MHz on the boost compared to the last gen. In regards to the Vega GPU side of things, the Ryzen 3 3200U has an extra 200 MHz. However, the Ryzen 3 3300U, the Ryzen 5 3500U, and the Ryzen 7 3700U, all have an added 100 MHz on the GPU over the last gen, and this is just the Vega graphics side of things. So then guys, on to the specs of the APUs. So if we start with the Ryzen 7 3700U, it has 4 cores, 8 threads, a TDP of 15 watts, a base clock of 2.3 GHz and a boost clock of 4 GHz. Moving on down, you have a Ryzen 5 3500U with 4 cores and 8 threads, TDP of 15 watts, a base clock of 2.1 GHz and a boost clock of 3.7 GHz. And then moving on down to the Ryzen 3. So you've got the 3300U, 4 cores, 4 threads, TDP at 15 watts again, 2.1 GHz base and a boost of 3.5 GHz. And then the Ryzen 3 3200U, 2 cores, 4 threads, 15 watt TDP, a base clock of 2.6 GHz and a boost clock of 3.5 GHz. However, there are an additional 2 APUs in this lineup. So you've got the Ryzen 7 3750H, which is 4 cores and 8 threads. However, this time the TDP is 35 watts, a base frequency of 2.3 GHz and a boost of 4 GHz. And then you have the Ryzen 5 3550H, 4 cores, 8 threads, a 35 watt TDP and a base clock of 2.1 GHz with a boost clock of 3.6 GHz. Sorry guys, 3.7 GHz. So why is this? Well, the H series have a higher TDP for hopefully being able to handle the higher base and boost clocks for longer, and also are designed for the gaming laptops, which obviously AMD will want to progress in 2019. So then, moving on over to AMD's keynote at CES on the 9th of January, and if you missed it, well, there's 2 things I want to take away from here. The first one is I want to have a little look at this clip that was shown at their keynote, and then move on to explain it a bit more. So then guys, that was the clip AMD released at their keynote, and yes, it's a new GPU and it is called the Radeon 7. So taking a look at the card design first, it appears to be a 2.5 slot card and it has a really nice silver/grey shroud around the fans and the heatsink, giving it quite a slick design. It has two 8-pin power connectors, and yes, the Radeon text and logo do light up, however, it's probably going to be red. So the card itself, well, what is it? Well, it's based on 7 nanometers, 60 compute units running at 1.8 GHz, 25% more performance at the same power, 16 GB of high bandwidth memory, and 1 TB a second memory bandwidth. So no matter how slick it looks, we want to know what the performance is like. Well, unfortunately I didn't add the clip in here because the stream wasn't that great, but they did show Devil May Cry 5 at 4K with at least 70 FPS plus. However, what does this bring to the table for gamers and creators? Well, for creators, you get between 27 to 29% improvement in Blender or Adobe Premiere, and 62% more in OpenCL workloads for the GPU compute. So, when will this card be released? Well, Dr. Lisa Su said it will be released a month away on the 7th of February, which is brilliant, but how much will it cost? Well, the cost of this card is $699. So for that price, you could go out and buy two 2060s and sly them, or you could go out and buy a 2080 Ti. Dr. Lisa Su then also went on towards the end and to give us a small preview into the Ryzen 3000 series CPUs. But the only one that was talked about briefly, which I'm led to believe, was the Ryzen 5 3600X, which is 8 cores and 16 threads, a base clock of 4 GHz and a boost clock of 4.8 GHz. They also did run a Cinebench score, and that was against Intel's Core i9 9900K at stock. It also shows that the system powers on the left is Intel and on the right is Ryzen, and obviously the test ends. Intel got a score of 2040 and Ryzen got a score of 2057. Also, Dr. Lisa Su then went on to note that this isn't actually the final frequencies of the processor itself. However, looking at the power consumption as well, Ryzen is going to be 30% lower on the power consumption, which is brilliant for heat and obviously saving money on your bills. However guys, that was all I had time for today. Thank you for coming along. If you did like it, then please do give me a thumbs up. Please do hit that subscribe button. Please do hit the bell icon for more notifications for myself. And I will see you all in the next video.